It vexes my mind when I think that someone has floated the value of this property to be $8 million, and the city staff said it could be $22 to $30 million or more. I mean, so it's a long way across the map. I just want to share with you that the house across the street from me is 1 acre of land, and it's a house that's probably 80 years old, nicely kept, but it's old. And I think it sold in the range of $5 or $6 million. And so it's hard for me to imagine that 4 acres of Santa Monica could be bought for $8 million almost anywhere in the city. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not a real estate agent, and I'm not out shopping for land, but I just, knowing the cost of a piece of property with a house on it where it doesn't create any income or anything, the value is far more. So I suspect personally that this property, under any circumstances, is worth more than $8 million.
Mr. Shriver.
Thank you. I guess having heard the city attorney's comments, and also I want to elaborate a little bit on what Ms. Davis said, and to my friends who have spoken here tonight, that I don't think it's an overstatement. Mr. Perry might correct me. That we're playing a kind of a tricky game here, because, right? The owner has certain legal rights that he could exercise tomorrow and go out of business as a matter of law. So he could decide that tomorrow. We would have very little recourse. We could probably try to sue him and prevent him from doing it in various ways, but we might. There's a good chance we'd end up losing that. I think it's important for people to understand that the legal power here is not all in the city. He could treat this hearing, in fact, discussion about eminent domain and condemnation, as a breach of his MOU, or as an anticipatory breach of that, which would enable him to go to court in a somewhat stronger position than he would be if he were governed entirely by the MOU. A certain amount of this probably ought to be discussed in closed session, as we sometimes do when there are really risky things for the city being discussed in public. But I do think that because this is people's community, and I know there's a lot of strong feeling about it, and I got a lot of emails that suggest to me that people think that a lot of power is in the city's hands here. I just want to say in a careful way that it's important for everybody to understand a lot of power is in the developer's hands. And I think that's why, I can't quite remember, but I think that's why we went into the MOU with them originally, was because we recognized that they could have evicted everybody, gone out of the rental housing business, as Councilmember O'Connor said, and done so right then and there. And there would have been nothing that we could have done about it at all. So remembering that, and remembering that we're, as it were, in the exact same position right now as we were then, perhaps even in a worse position, since the owner could argue to a judge that they have waited for us for 5 years and now still nothing has happened, and we're threatening to seize their ownership values. We could be putting whatever benefits we might have achieved in a negotiation in a development agreement for the residents of the trailer park. And those benefits, while they might not be you can stay in your trailer, they might have been interesting benefits that we could have negotiated for. We might be putting those at risk, because if he were to go out of business, of course, we would have a much more limited negotiation. So I know it's all very complicated, and I probably sound like the lady that said we would do a lot of posturing and meaningless discussion. She's probably out there pointing at me going, see, posturing and meaningless discussion. But I really do think we got to be careful here about what we say and what staff studies. And I think we want to get into closed session promptly and hope that the developer doesn't take a precipitous action here that would make us all regret having tried to take this vote. I mean, we like to think, as we always do here in Santa Monica, that we do have all the power. The council's got the power. The council can do all these things, and its power is limited. I'm going to vote for the motion, but I'm nervous about it. You know, and I want people who care about these issues to be nervous about it. This is not an easy project for the city or for any of us to undertake, and well, we got to be careful.
Now, I'm trying to recall this correctly, but did you not tell us that we would have to either find a new source of financing this or not fund other projects that we had begun? Okay, thank you. I've heard, and it's been said in this room, and it's not really clear, but I think there are 50 still occupied, 52 trailer units. So there's 52 properties. I think that if you looked at somewhere in the $20 to $30 million range, probably $25 million would probably be cheap. Because I really believe half a square block of Santa Monica, and blocks, typical city blocks are about 8 acres, roughly. Typical city blocks, you know, with 10 houses on each side. Some blocks, of course, are bigger and some are smaller, but the typical city block is about 8, 9 acres. So this is about half a block of Santa Monica. That if it were $25 million, this would mean about $500,000 for each trailer space is what we would be spending on to preserve 50 trailer rental units. That would be about $500,000 each. I know you don't believe
Please.
that, but I'm just dividing $25 million by 50 residences, and it comes up to $500,000 apiece. At least that's what I got. I want to just say that, contrary to the belief that I've had that this is a park for low-income people, at least one speaker talked about it sounded like a vacation property. College professors. So I'm not sure it is low-income property. If it were low-income property, maybe some people would have to move out if the city owned it. When we did verify the income levels and stuff, I'm just saying that these are variables all in this equation. I don't think, at the end of the day, no matter how long we consider this, reconsider it, study it, restudy it, I think it comes back to, are you willing to spend $500,000 to save 50 trailers in Santa Monica, or are you going to spend the $25 million on something else, considering the population of the city and who benefits from it? That's the real question it comes down to. I believe it'll come right back to that question if we do this a week from now, or a month from now, or 2 months from now. That's what it comes down to.